Welcome back, everybody, to the weekend show where I'll be breaking down the stock market. So, before we get started, please hit that like button, and that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. Now, if you want to support the channel and you're really serious about trading and you want to do this full time and get all types of trade ideas, especially you want to go for that goal, right now I'm up 341% year to date, and you can see these updates right on my PNL right here within the Patreon group. And even if you touch here, it will take you up even more, and then even more right up here. You can see where it started, 284%. So if you're really serious about trading and you want to do this full time, definitely check out my link down below in the description. And now let's get right into the market. All right, welcome back once again, everybody. So what do we got here on stock market? You can see the map. Well, it was one man show. Nvidia up nearly 4%. Broadcom joining the party up over 3%. AMD, they were up over 6%. We got Oracle also going up 6.5%. Microsoft staying up on the day. We got Apple up 0.5%. Amazon and Tesla pretty flat. Meta going down 0.85%, and we got Google up 1.55%. Then you can look at this 11 sectors that makes up S&P 500. On top, leading the way, technology, industrials, healthcare, basic materials, and financial. Utilities, consumer defensive, lagging behind. Stock market, we got Dow up 0.38%, Nasdaq going up 1.31%, S&P up 0.88%, and Russell going up 0.84%. Uh, we don't have much to read into next week. These data, I don't think they're gonna do anything, especially moving the market. We got some pending home sales, but that's I think the following week. But nothing really big going on next week. We got some jobless claims on Wednesday, but again, it's a holiday week, and the Santa rally should start going into next week Friday, but it already started this week, last Friday. So, but the way the market is looking, when we look at VIX, it's not really, all good news. And I think we need to start with VIX today, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's get right into VIX. On VIX is down 11.57%. So it was classic, VIX crush Friday. This thing getting absolutely destroyed and now down below 15 bucks at 14, guys. So I have said this many times before, when VIX gets to that $14 zone, I'm not looking to go long in the market. As a matter of fact, if there is no gap down come Monday, whatever positions I have, especially, like short term, whether it's calls or even shares, I might be selling stuff because look at this. I mean, this is where this thing is, really gets like to the next level where this thing spikes back up easily up to 17, 18, some cases 20, 30, right? And it's sitting under 15 bucks. So we got to be really, really careful going into next week and going into the new year because yes, we have CPI. It was lower, but it was kind of cooked up. And we all know that those numbers are not really right. Now, also, Japan doing the rate hike, which I don't really, put too much weight into it, but we got to be careful with that as well. Another 25 basis points, and things are just going ballistic, right? Where they're raising rates and some of these, yields are going like really crazy at this point. So, if things actually spark going into new year, we might see VIX getting a massive move to the upside. And there were some calls that were coming in on VIX. So we got to be careful. Maybe we get that center rally, some sort of a rally back up to the upside, another, 5, 10, 15 bucks. And then next year we get to see a bigger pullback in the market because even though we went up on Friday, it wasn't looking like it's really looking good and everything is good, because if this thing was trading at like 18, maybe 20, and then we had that rally, I would be like, okay, it's good because VIX is elevated, and now we're getting that rally. We might be going back up to all-time highs, which we could be going this week. But this thing was already getting destroyed on Thursday's session. And look at what happened Friday. They killed it under 15 bucks. And you can see this area right here highlighted. Every time we get into this area, we get a spike. Look at right here. We got a spike. Came back in, some consolidation. We had a spike. We had a spike right here. We had a spike right here. Many, many times, sometimes even bigger spikes like right here or even here. So we have to be careful. There is support around that 15 bucks to even low 14. But if this thing gets over, especially 16, watch out for a move up to 18 to even 20 on VIX. And that is why we got to be really careful going into next couple days here in the market. On SPY ETF, it's up 0.61% on Friday. And let's talk about the candlestick. Well, we got hammer type candle. Some people will say hanging man candle. I would say we're just hanging in there, right? The bulls are hanging in there. They're not giving up yet. You can see this was a fake out to shake out a lot of people that we're going down. And now we're back up almost close to all time highs. Now, when we look at this daily time frame, definitely this will show us a better picture because when we got that breakdown below that 679 to 680 where we had 2 weeks of trading, it came down rapidly, right? But then we found support here, things went back up, and now we're getting acceptance over that range, which is that 679 to 680. And if that actually holds come next week, we could see a retest of 685, and that's a wall target here. And above that, you're going to see possibly retesting all time highs and maybe even going into a brand new all time high. But some people are also posting this as a bull flag. Well, it's there. Some people are posting this as a double top. Well, it's there. But nothing is confirmed yet until we break above that all time high or we break below this low down here, which is not the case. Another thing I want to point out, guys, we're just trading in a range. And you can see this range is definitely like right about here. We're just trading in this range for past couple of weeks, maybe months. So at some point, if things break out to the upside, it gets over 690, we might be going up to that 700 range that a lot of people are talking about. But also, if we actually break under this range right here, then there's going to be substantial downside here on S&P 500. So keep that in mind. Going into Monday, also, if there is a pullback, we need to hold that 679 to 680 as a support. If not, we could be pulling back into this critical zone right here. That's going to be around 673 to 674, right up here. These candles where we had a massive rejection before, and even top of this candle and top of this candle right here, these bearish engulfing bars from before. On Triple Q, it's up 1.30%, and we even had some moves after hour. It's up another $75.28%. But if you look at my screen, this was the gap up and go on Thursday's session with the CPI. Then we had another gap up and go on Friday, and things are just not looking back for any of these gaps or even a retest of this critical resistance now that is going to act as a support. That's 613. We opened just below 613 at 612 almost, but things just took off. You can see this candle, and that was it. We never had a retest, not to mention attempt of a gap fill here to the downside, 611. And even in my previous video, I was actually talking about this inverse head and shoulder. And yes, we got it, but how we got it was a gap up and go. Another thing I want to point out, and I'm going to add this to this chart because on this 15-minute time frame, this was the zone that we held pretty much the entire time. We came back right here around that 1429, and this is just a support for the shorter term trading, which is like 15-minute, and it was holding. So if you're looking for downside or perhaps the gap fill or even retest of 613, it's not going to happen until we break below that 614.29 going into next week come Monday and Tuesday. Now, let's talk about the daily chart. What do we got here? Well, we had some selling, and now we're seeing a move back up to the upside. And we got this was the level that we had to break, and we got over almost over that 617. It's trading at almost 619 now. So going into Monday's session, if we open over 617, that's good news. We could be going even more, especially up into these areas right here, 623, maybe even 627 next week. And don't forget, we still have this gap right here, right about 630. Now, how do we get in, especially to the long side? Well, the dip is pretty much gone, right? Now, if you're trying to chase this, the move already happened. We got the market going up on Thursday. I think it was like 1.5%, almost 2%. And the market rallied again on Friday, 1.30%. So now, if it's up again come Monday, you don't want to chase anything, especially when VIX is down to 14 bucks. And that's why it's critical that you watch the chart and you see the VIX spiking back up a little bit. It at least gives you that opportunity to play it back up to the upside. If you're just going, let's say come Monday, you're blindly going in like, hey, I'm gonna long this, and VIX comes down even more, another 50 cents, maybe even a dollar, sitting at 14, how much more upside you have? So upside is there, but with caution, uh, you can take these plays. You got to be really careful because VIX is definitely not trading at 16, 17, where I would say, oh, this thing can go down even more, another buck or two, but it's at 14. So, I mean, yes, I'm not saying VIX cannot go down anymore, but these are the levels where VIX usually spikes, and we have history of spiking from 14 to 15. Very rarely it goes to like 12 bucks, or 13. So VIX, yes, it can go down a bit more, but we got to be careful participating to the long side of the market, especially if there is no pullback. And where things can pull back, if you're really, trying to get in, well, look out for the 20-day here. Now, that's going to act as a support, 615.69 underneath that 617. And then the key support, this rejection, this rejection, this rejection, even bottom of this support zone and this massive bearish engulfing candle, all that is sitting right here around that 613 zone. So if we get a pullback, perhaps we undershoot that 613, we fill the gap at 611 on that 15-minute, that's going to be your dip to buy, as long as the support holds. Now, if we open, like I said, over 617 come Monday morning, yes, we could be going higher. And I gave you guys those targets where we could be going even higher. And if VIX could be pulling back a little bit more, at that point, I mean, it's going to be really a do or die situation for VIX to spike back up. Now, if this is just a bull trap, which could be right, this was a bear trap, this could be a bull trap here. If we get a rejection and we get a just we're setting a lower high here, we could be pulling back. And if nothing is holding, especially 613, even 611, the gap fill reversal not happening, and we're pulling back into this 606.85, or I would say 607, just round things up, and we go under that, well, definitely we will be coming down and taking out this low down here, which I think at least for next week, I don't know, guys. It's really hard to predict this market right now. But I still think it's unlikely that it comes down and takes out this low, because the lower band is coming up and the upper one is coming down. So some big moves in the market is definitely coming, but I don't know when that's going to happen. I think that big move possibly coming going into next year, and that could be a warning sign that a lot of things that you're seeing all over the place, the data, everything about the economy, if anything is going to happen, it's going to happen next year. So careful, especially going to next week when it comes to trading. On Dow, it's up 0.35%. So even though Apple was struggling, we got Caterpillar going up, we got CRM, pretty much was in the green, I believe. Dow here, it's up, but it's not quite participating in that rally. As a matter of fact, look at this topping tail candle we had, or inverted hammer, whatever you want to call it. We did not even retest previous highs. I'm not talking about this all-time high. We did not even retest, especially on Friday's session, even the previous all-time high. So Dow is lagging behind, but also keep that in mind. This is just a bull flag pattern. You can see right here on Dow. So if this thing holds up at 480, which is holding for past 4 days, we got some upside, maybe up to this high right here, 484.44. And over that, you're going to see a retest of previous all-time highs, which we made just about a week ago right here, 489.66. To the downside, 480 gives up. The next critical support, 477.73, 476.37, and then 472.49, all the way down to the gap, 472.9, 471.9 to be exact. And here's another one, small caps up 0.84%. But this one here, if you look at my screen, I mean, look at this hourly time frame. I mean, yes, we had that inverse head and shoulder, but when you draw a line this way, it could be a bear flag too, right? And it just not participating in that rally. And as a matter of fact, the KRE, the banking ETF, was actually, I think, down a little bit on Friday. So not all the sectors are firing up and just going in the green, even though small caps they were green on Friday, but you can see it's holding up this 248. We came all the way down here down to 246, and now it's holding at 248. So if this thing holds here, we might get to see a retest which we have not seen for our past 2 days, retest of previous all-time high. So if this thing is bullish and we're gonna see some sort of a center rally here on small caps, it needs to get over 252. If that happens, we could be retesting this high right here, all-time high, or maybe even going and making a brand new one. Now, if this thing falls below 248, critical support down here at 245, that is in line with this rising 50-day moving average, and underneath that, you're going to see more selling down to 240 right here on IWM. So silver is up 2.71%, another all-time high on Friday. Now, when you look at the monthly time frame, I'm just going to give you guys example. Just look at the monthly time frame on PLTR and MU. What happened recently after they got up to a brand new all-time high? It gave back a lot of the gains and then came back up. Now they're back up, but it gave back both times a lot of the gains. It was going pretty much like this. Now silver is one of those most overbought thing right now in the market, especially when you look at the monthly time frame. That does not mean that we cannot go a little bit higher. You can see the Bollinger Band expanded up to almost 63 bucks. So yes, we could be going there. Now it's holding 60 as a support. We gapped up again last week. That was, I think, on Wednesday session from 58. So there is a gap at 58. We did close this gap. There is another gap at 53, and things are just gapping up and going higher. So when things are going like this, guess what? You're going to see a similar type of correction, just like we saw recent times on PLTR, even Nvidia, and then what's the other one? MU, right? So these things are just going ballistic. Another one I want to look at is the dollar, which actually doing not much. You can see dollar was slightly up on Friday's session. So that is kind of strange when you look at it, but it could be just bear flagging, because you can have dollar going up, S&P 500 going up, Nasdaq going up, gold going up. Somebody is lying, and then VIX just getting totally destroyed on Friday. So be careful if the dollar is on the rise. I mean, look at these candles right here, putting in a short-term bottom, or who knows, this could be the bottom here on dollar if this thing is going to move higher from here. GDX, when I look at gold, also, we did not, I believe, hit all time highs on Friday, or we actually did. 88.69, that was a new all time high. So this thing is also ripping overbought. We saw that correction before right here, but look at it. Came back down to hit another all time high here, right here, and then another one right here. So gold, silver, the dollar, all ripping, while we got S&P 500 and Nasdaq also moving up slowly last week. So next week it's going to be a crucial week, and then week after, especially with New Year, I think there is going to be lots of volatility in the market, guys. So be careful and good luck, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated Monday night.